quantum entanglements is something that I'm really interested in, right? I think it's really cool. And I want to be able to express my enjoyment for quantum entanglements to other people so you guys can understand it as well. So I'll be using Will Smith's marriage and the X-Men just because, just because I think it'd be funny to kind of use this man's, hopefully the marriage is better by now, but currently degrading marriage and the state of the X-Men to explain such an amazing actual feat, like actual science, you know what I mean? But let's just get right into it. So quantum entanglements, right? First part we're going to understand is the entanglement part, which you may be assuming, oh, we're going to use Will Smith right here. Not yet. We'll use him just a little bit, but not yet. But the entanglement part is, imagine that you have two observable objects, and they're locked behind a box of some sort, right? In one box, if you open that box, you immediately know what's going on with the other box. But let me give you a better example. You got Jean Grey, and Jean Grey is in a room with Wolverine and Cyclops. You tell Jean Grey, hey, read one of their minds. Now, a little background for you. Cyclops and Wolverine will both be thinking two opposite things. Cyclops will be thinking A, Wolverine will be thinking B, okay? Jean Grey reads one of their minds and says, they're thinking A. That, now that you know, oh, they're thinking A, you immediately know she's reading Cyclops' mind, right? Giving you the information that Wolverine is thinking B. They are now entangled, or you can say linked, it's not the proper verbiage, but they're now entangled just because you know that behind this box there's A, meaning in the other box there needs to be B. That's probably a lot more complicated than it needed to be, but it really is quite that simple for entanglements of this thing right here. You open this box up, that's in there. The other one has to be in there, right? Pretty simple. Once you break stuff down, the properties of quantum entanglements are quite easy to understand. It's the application that gets very confusing, right? But that's the first part. Operation Olive Branch. This is not a sponsor. This is an endorsement. I'm just endorsing them. This is not a sponsor. Not a sponsor. But go check out Operation Olive Branch. I'll have their link in the bio. Okay, they're helping out Palestinian families who are trying to evacuate Gaza and who are just in need in general. Okay, anything you can do to go help them, even if you don't have the money to it, I definitely get that. Spread the word, right? They got stuff on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. If there's a social media platform, I swear to God, they are on it. All you gotta do is spread the word about them, okay? Or even spread different people's Kickstarters and everything like that. Not Kickstarters, GoFundMes. Definitely just share the word on that, okay? And if you don't like Operation Olive Branch or aren't really in support of Palestine, go ahead and do me a favor and get off of my channel. Thank you so much. I don't mean to be so rude with it, but I kind of do, because there isn't a if and or but about it. You know what I mean? It's very much it's a humanitarian crisis issue. It's a human issue, and it's also a very important thing going on. So if you're not rocking with Palestine, I'm not rocking with you. Either way, though, back to the video. Now, the second part is superposition, right? Superposition is a state of yes and no, which is a very simplified way of saying it. But you could think of Schrodinger's cat if you want to. Cat in a box. Is it dead or is it alive? Blah, 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 right? That's not what we're going to be using, though. We're going to be using Will Smith's marriage. Now, imagine you're Will Smith. You're standing in the kitchen, and Jada Smith says, Will, I'm done. And what she does is she throws off her ring. It hits the ground, right? And it's spinning. As you saw in the little example right there, we're going to come back to it, but the ring is spinning, right? Now, imagine that for the sake of this example, their wedding ring is my Triforce ring that I wear, right? Which is kind of funny because Jada's always looking for a third. Okay. So imagine the ring, right? If the ring lands face up with the Triforce sitting up, then that means their marriage is saved. But if it lands face down, that means their marriage is over, they're getting a divorce, right? But while it is spinning, the ring is neither up nor down. It is in the middle. It's in a weird gray area, and it's constantly spinning. That is a state of superposition, where both answers are true until observed. So until this ring is observed, or I guess in this case, if the ring falls, but let's assume that the ring will spin forever, right? We got that gyro spin. But it will spin forever until it is observed. And when it's observed, that's when the reality is chosen. Is it they're getting married? I mean, they're staying married, or are they getting a divorce, right? And you could honestly argue that Will Smith's marriage is constantly in a state of superposition, but that's neither here nor there. That's the last marriage joke. Last marriage joke, I promise. But yeah, that's pretty much it, right? So go back to that example and you'll see the ring spinning. That is what superposition is kind of like, right? Now, I do want to explain really quick that I'm using real people, obviously. I'm using people, I'm using the X-Men, beings that we can comprehend. When we're talking about superposition and entanglements and all this other stuff, we're at the quantum level because it's quantum entanglements, right? How small is the level we're talking about? If you get the pin of a needle, you can fit 100 electrons on the pin of one needle. That is how small we're talking about. We're talking about like electrons here, right? No longer than a nanometer. Actually, 100 nanometers. No longer than 100 nanometers, I believe, is like where like the quantum part gets in there. Either way, right? Just wanted to let you know that we're using things as small, just so you can understand that like I myself will not be able to be in a quantum entanglement, nor is like anybody really, but electrons and things like that can be in quantum entanglement. Awesome. Okay, now that you guys are kind of getting the basics of like the breakdown of quantum entanglements, you're gonna take entanglement, superposition, merge them together, right? Like Phoenix Force, if you will. And now we have quantum entanglements. And like I said, this is a very basic breakdown of it. And it's a very, it doesn't take a lot to understand. It's the applications of quantum entanglements is where it gets all fuzzy, right? If you want a better explanation of the applications of it all, go to Science ABC. It's a YouTube channel. I actually watched their video on quantum entanglements semi-recently. I really like theirs. They also use like comic characters. Not as examples, they just have them in the background, which I really like. Either way. Check them out. I really like their stuff. And they'll have like a more in-depth version of this. Now, the other thing about quantum entanglements that I like, that I personally really, really like, is quantum entanglements and the use of teleportation. It's not actually physically teleporting anybody, but it's teleporting information, right? So if you take two electrons, put them at opposite ends of the Earth, right? They're at the opposite ends of the Earth, and they're already entangled together, and they're both in superposition. And you observe the top electron, right? If that top electron stays up, now we know that the bottom electron is down. That's quantum entanglements, but it's the like teleportation of information, if you will, right? And like the instantaneousness of it. The other thing that like with it, I guess to use an example for you, if that one didn't really like land. But yeah, hopefully that example was good. I think I had another example there. I don't know why I lied to you. I know I had another example there. It didn't really fit, so I cut it out. So we're going to just keep that electron one though. Hopefully that kind of gets you there, right? Yeah. Like I said, it's pretty straightforward. The problem is it's the applications, and like once you really delve deep into like what's going on with quantum entanglement is to where it gets weird. I just want people to have like a baseline understanding. But now, this one's for all my nerds out there, right? Mystique in the current continuity of X-Men has had her powers reworked. And her powers are reworked to where she's not shape-shifting, she's gene-shifting, right? So she is changing her genes. She is becoming something else. And they did that because they also reworked Nightcrawler's backstory. But they didn't rework his powers. I think his powers are different. I think his powers are very different now. Because, sure, he still teleports, he still does this and that. But since his mom has powers on like a gene level, what if his powers are on a gene level too? Not Jean Grey, Gene, not Jean, right? So, what if his teleportation is actually quantum entanglement teleportation? Hear me out, right? So, what happens is his eyes, with Nightcrawler's powers to teleport, he has to see the other thing. He teleports there, right? Or sometimes with the BAMPs, he has an anchor and he can teleport there. I will circle back to that, by the way. I will circle back to the BAMPs, oddly enough. I don't think we've seen them in this current mainline continuity, but I do think they are kind of important. Either way, what if the way his powers are now working is that when he's looking at something to teleport over there, he's sending over other like mini particles that are on the quantum level, such as genes, right? Because his mom's powers are now on the quantum level because the genes and like a strand of DNA is no longer than 2.5 nanometers. To be considered around the quantum level, it's around 100 nanometers or less. I'll fact check that one real quick. From what I've read, I believe that's correct. Maybe I just said it wrong. I'll fact check it. I'll put a photo or something like that up there. Either way, right? So it's not out of the question to say that his powers could potentially be on the nano level or on the quantum level. And so he tosses out like whatever particles, right? Maybe he has his own special particles to do this, but he does that, and they're where he wants to teleport. And so they'll become entangled with him. And so once he observes where he wants to go, it's no longer in superposition. He's no longer in superposition, but he's able to flip them. And so he goes over there and they come over here. But now you're like, well, DJ, what happens to those particles? You know what I mean? Because energy is never destroyed. It's always like rearranged and done all this other stuff, right? The BAMPs, right? Because in this mainline continuity, we don't have the BAMPs. But what if the BAMPs come back and they're just different versions from him teleporting, because it's mini versions of himself? This time it's not maggots and blood from Azazel. This time it's the other mini particles from himself that he's using, being able to teleport around. They take on a part of himself because they'll never exactly be like him, because no two electrons or nothing can be in the exact same spot. And I doubt it's exactly copying him. It's just taking just a bit of his framework to understand where he needs to go, therefore creating the BAMPs. Which is why in the other continuity he could teleport to the BAMPs, but that was like blood type stuff. But this way, he's able to teleport to the BAMPs because it's already an anchor he has. I don't know. I think that's a little wild. I would like to believe it. I would like it, just because if Mystique is on like the gene level like that, why can't he be on that gene level? And it doesn't change his powers at all. I just think it's cool. Like, I just think it's really cool. Obviously, you have to suspend a tad bit of disbelief with how his molecules are working. But at the end of the day, that is a blue man with a tail who can teleport and uses a sword. I think we can suspend disbelief for just a little bit. You know what I mean? I have been sitting on that for like 2 weeks now because I've been really trying to figure it out. And if you want to correct me in the comments, or you think there's a better way of explaining that, still using quantum entanglements and like teleportation with quantum entanglements and the teleportation of information, not physical things, but that's how he's able to do it because he's able to replicate himself over there, by all means, put that in the comments, please. I think that'd be really cool. I think that would be dope. I think that would be actually really dope. Yeah, I hope you liked the video, man. That's my quantum entanglements video. I'll be so honest with you. Not a lot to it. There's not a lot to it, but it's fun. I know this isn't like one of my most engaging videos, but I also wanted to keep this one kind of short with it just because there's, like I said, man, this is short and sweet. I just think this is a cool idea. Very easy thing to explain. It's just once you come into the complications of like the application of it, that's where it's hard. That is where it's hard. But thanks for watching the video, man. I'm so serious. If you made it this far, thank you. Anybody from like my Yu-Gi-Oh video or Blood Blockade, I got 75 followers now, and that's a lot to me, man. That is a lot to me, right? Like I know I'm doing it. Oh. I know I'm doing it pretty big on TikTok and whatnot, right? I'm almost at 150,000 followers, which is dope. But YouTube, I feel like, is a lot harder with how the algorithm is, but also people aren't in a constant loop of watching videos, you're seeking videos. So it truly does mean a lot to me when people watch my videos, especially if you've made it this far where you're hearing me say this. Oh my God. Hell, if you, I'm sorry. But if you even made it to the Nightcrawler part, dude, thank you. Thank you so much. Like, genuinely. But yeah. Also, shout out Boots, because Boots is the reason why I made this video, because I told Boots I'd make this video and they didn't believe me I'd make the video. So, yeah, Boots. Now you understand quantum entanglements. You're welcome, dog. Either way, I hope you liked the video. I hate to say this, like, comment, subscribe, right? And check it out. Honestly, comment, dude. I love reading comments so much. Comments are like my favorite part. Either way, thanks for watching. And if I don't see you, have a good afternoon, good evening, and good night.